Welcome to the hybrid edition of Agriculture Economics taught at Northeastern Junior College. I'm Miss Shapira. It'll be nice to finally be able to meet you all. I'm sure you'll be conversing with me quite a bit in our Desire to Learn system through the discussion boards. But we won't get to meet face to face for a while, so hopefully everyone can maybe put up their own picture on their profile and we can start to kind of learn who each other is. We're going to go ahead and jump right into our agriculture economics textbook with chapter 1, and one of the first concepts that's very important in economics is the concept of scarcity. So scarcity refers to the finite quantity of resources that are available to meet society's needs, and they can be broken down into 3 different categories. So we have some natural resources, some human resources, and some manufactured resources. Now, scarcity, and when we have scarce resources, we're talking about resources that we can't necessarily make a lot of right away. So, or they might end up disappearing after a while. So that's easy to think about when we talk about natural resources. There's only so much land that is available for farming. And we compete with a lot of other businesses and even people and houses when looking at the different types of ways that the land can be used. So land is considered a scarce resource, and that would fall under natural resources. It's very difficult for humans to create land. Another one that's pretty major right now in our economy would be fuel or natural gas and energy and coal. Something that a lot of people are looking into is trying to find various ways to produce that natural energy or natural gas and oil, and we can't do that. So we're trying to find things that we can use in place of those in order to get our cars from point A to point B. So something that we're probably a little more familiar with out here than most places is the corn and ethanol production, and trying to see if that will produce as much energy as the natural gas and oil, because those resources will eventually disappear. We're consuming them at a higher rate than the earth is producing them. Human resources, there's only so many people that exist, and you're competing against various other things that those humans could be doing for jobs and that sort of and those sorts of things. So humans are a scarce resource. There's only so many of us on the world on the planet right now. Excuse me. Manufactured resources. A lot of times, some things are fairly easy to make and quick to make, and sometimes things take quite a bit of time. So when planting season comes around, there's only so much seed that is out there to use. There's only so much seed to use to plant corn or to plant wheat, and those would be considered some of the finite or scarce resources. With scarcity, one has to make a choice. So because we have only 100 acres of land to work with, we have to choose what to do with that land. It would be different if we could do everything and have as much land as we would like, but in reality that's not how it is. So because of scarcity, we have to make a choice. Something else to note, this is not in your notes that are right in front of you, hopefully, but this would be something that you could add to them, is without scarcity, we wouldn't need economics. So that without scarcity, we would not need economics. So if we're looking at this in a traveling from point A to point B to point C sort of thing, scarcity leads to choice. And choice leads to an opportunity cost. So an opportunity cost would be an implicit cost associated with the next best alternative in a set of choices available to decision makers. So what that means, when we say the word implicit, that means that it's not an out-of-pocket cost. So this is not something that you're paying or having to pay for, but it is something that you're giving up. So the value of the next best alternative is what you're giving up. Every one of you watching this lecture right now has gone through this process of scarcity leading to choice, leading to opportunity cost. There's only 24 hours in a day, and you're taking the time out of your 24 hours to sit down and watch and listen to my lecture. And the value of what you could be doing instead of watching this lecture is considered that opportunity cost. So you could be sleeping, you could be on Facebook, you could be playing video games, you could have taken another course and not taken this one. All that stuff would be considered opportunity cost. You're giving that up in order to sit down and listen to my lecture. So if we had three options, where you could plant corn and make $50,000, if you could plant wheat and make $45,000, or you could plant in a 50-50 or a 2/3 to 1/3 ratio of corn and wheat and make $60,000, which one would you choose? Most rational human beings are going to choose the one that nets them the most amount of money. Everyone wants more money, so we're going to choose to make that $60,000. And so the value of the next best alternative is going to be that $50,000. So your next best alternative, and you're not paying that money, you've given up the opportunity to make that $50,000 in order to make $60,000. And most people think, well, yeah, that's not a bad deal, I'm getting more money. So, but that is what opportunity cost is. The next concept going in through chapter 1 is what we call specialization, and what we're doing here is we're focusing our resources on a specific task. So instead of trying to spread out our resources and grow corn, wheat, sugar beets, oranges, we're just going to focus on corn, and we're going to do this because it would be very beneficial, so that you can plant something that is good for your area. So it's not necessarily, this area isn't a good weather area for trying to grow oranges. But we'll talk a little bit more about specialization in the discussion board. The definition of economics is going to be a social science, and it's dealing with how consumers, producers, and societies choose among the alternative uses of scarce resources in the process of producing, exchanging, and consuming goods and services. So we couldn't start with this definition because we would have had to backtrack and then figure out what were scarce resources and what is choice and what is exchanging and all that stuff. So we now have kind of hit the crux of what we're going to be dealing with for the rest of the semester. So we're going to be looking at producing. What are the costs involved in that? Where do you decide to produce? Do you just plant until you run out of seeds? Do you think about it ahead of time? The idea behind trade, which would be exchanging. And then how consumers look at goods and services and what they would be willing to purchase or willing to buy those goods and services at. What price are we at? And we're going to stop here so that these video clips can be short enough to put on D2L. And hopefully you can catch up with me on the second half of this lecture.